This is the Digital Agency Insiders Podcast. Inside, you'll learn how to build, grow, and scale your digital marketing agency, all from the comfort of your favorite coffee shop. Let's get started with the show.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Agency Insiders Podcast. This is the podcast that gives you a little inside look into how entrepreneurs have built and grown their digital marketing agencies. My name's Tabitha Thomas, your host, and if this is your first time with us, welcome. Super excited to have you with us. And if I can encourage you to go hit that subscribe button as we release new episodes each and every Tuesday. So let's get into today's episode. Today I have with me Chris Bates. Chris is the CEO at Agora Eversole, merged company of the Agora company and the Eversole group. For the past 11 years, they have provided marketing services, web development, social media, and digital marketing for businesses and industries such as healthcare, nonprofit, community banking, retail, and the list goes on and on. Established in 2009, the company is bringing over 40 years of experience and expertise to the table with each business they help. So aside from great successes at Agora Eversole, Chris has been an outreach supervisor for community counseling services, director of development for Southern Christian Services for Children and Youth, as well as an executive director of the American Diabetes Association. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tabitha, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you. So before Agora Eversole, you were the owner of Mean Mallard, which is an outdoor company. So what can you tell us about your 7-year stint owning the outdoor sporting goods business? Is it, how is that so much different than owning a marketing firm?
Oh, man, it's a wild ride being in the retail business. That's for sure. Tabitha, I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that if you have a hobby or an outdoors, something that you do that you're passionate about, be very careful going into business to do that. Because,
does your passion quickly go away?
Yes, because, the busiest time I was consumed in the store and everybody else is out hunting and doing all of that kind of stuff. So if there was a downside to it, that was it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun getting to be a part of people's outdoor experiences and people bringing their kids in to get their first, camo boots for them and that kind of stuff, and the whole spectrum there. So it was really great in a company that grew. A lot, up to about 45 employees, and was a pretty large company up until 2009 when we sold out.
Gotcha. So was being an entrepreneur something that you always thought about doing, or did the idea just kind of come to you one day? I love what I do outdoors, and I'm going to make this a business.
You mentioned a couple of things that were early on in my resume that I haven't even thought about in years. Those were great steps in a career path. I would say the half a decade that I was the executive director for the American Diabetes Association for the state was probably the first time that I had really run an organization, although it was tied to the national office, obviously. And I think that's what gave me that entrepreneurial bug,
Gotcha.
to actually have staff of my own and my own goal sets and the opportunities to grow an organization. And man, that was, almost 25 years ago, and haven't slowed down since, because I think that was I was able to find that entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Then with owning and running the outdoor store and then starting an agency. And I can't imagine doing otherwise, Tabitha.
Yeah. So what made you leap from owning an outdoor store to switching to owning a digital agency, a marketing agency? How did that, because those seem very, very different.
Yeah.
So how did that switch happen?
Well, all of those years as a nonprofit executive and then owning an outdoor store, the commonality in it was that I always did all my own marketing.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a designer. I'm not a developer. I guess I know those parts of our digital marketing world, of our marketing world, but the strategy and at that time, media placement and, all of those things, and developing offers and having a real marketing strategy behind the whole thing was one of the things that I loved the most in all of those career steps. And so when I sold the store in 2009, that was an opportunity for me to completely reevaluate things. And at that time, I had a couple of different people approach me about helping them with their marketing because they knew that I had always done that part of it. So I guess that kind of began a consulting role doing that. And it didn't take me very long, Tabitha, for the wheels to start turning and go, man, maybe I can turn this into something and actually do marketing for other people by bringing at that time, a couple of decades worth of experience in running organizations, and the realization that, man, if I had had somebody to help me the way I now wanted to help people with their marketing, it would have been completely invaluable. And, and that was really the beginning of the proliferation of social media and web as we know it today. So it really began to evolve from there.
That's awesome. So, one of the big questions that we get asked a lot by people that are starting their first agency is, what did the first 6 months of running that agency look like? Because everybody loves talking about the beautiful, the years down the road when everything's working smoothly, but nobody really likes to talk about the ugly, the ugly first 6 months. So what did that look like when you were first getting it started?
Yeah, a leap of faith, first of all, because, again, I was at an evaluation point, and when I realized, and my then girlfriend, now wife, when I told her, I really think I can turn this into something. And she had the faith in me to do that. But you're talking about the ugly part. This was setting up a desk on my back porch and taking at that point, what was like a 5-year-old crappy $350 laptop. And that was the company, at that point. Granted, I had a lot of business connections, but I had no concept of developing an expert niche into a certain industry. I had no concept of all of that. The only thing I knew that I wanted to do was to help other business owners, and through marketing. And I knew that I wanted to help that much. I had no idea how to price. I mean, I remember sitting there at that old laptop going, what do I even charge? How do you come up? Is it an hourly rate? Is it a package deal for accomplishing X over this 3-month period, or whatever it was? And I think I honestly kind of tried all of those, Tabitha, and just trying to figure out what worked. I do know this: I dramatically undercharged. I was scared to death to throw out a larger number. I pursued opportunities with anybody that had a checkbook, at that point. And that was kind of what you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's that rough start. I'd love to say I made a decision and I ran into some, $20,000 a month contract. But that didn't happen. It was literally clawing and scratching.
But those are the things that built you into who you are today and the agency that you are today, because you were able to feel your way through it a little bit. So that's incredible. So how did it go from just you to building the agency to where you had, a few employees under you and then merge with another agency? What did the process look like? How many years was that? And how did you guys grow that?
Gradual is the answer to the question. I love the entrepreneurial big lofty goal there of the overnight success.
Yeah.
And the truth is that only takes about a decade. And so for me, it was building to the point that I finally had to hire a designer part-time, because, I was outsourcing several different places, and I was like, I've got to come up with some consistency here and somebody I can turn to. And if a client needs something tomorrow, I need somebody in-house to do that. So when I couldn't afford it, I took the big, leap of faith and hired somebody part-time. And then 3, 4, maybe 5 months later, made them full-time. And then that started to grow a little bit. A couple of years into it, it came to the point that if it was going to grow into something, I had to find a way to do that was not all about me being the producer of the work. So that turned into hiring a project manager, which was going to be the big, growth step to let me step back just a little bit to work on the business rather than in the business. And that turned out to be the right move.
I started to say that had to have been the big turning point, because you as one person can only do so much.
Yes, that was a huge turning point. So at that point, I got to turn some of the production, even the client relationship part, over to a project manager who started handling the strategy and the client communications and the design and the proofs and all of that kind of stuff, and let me start to focus more on business development and on some of the bigger picture things. So yes, that was a huge turning point, and then, looking up, here we are another 5 years past that. So 11 years from the beginning of Agora to now, what we had started to do was looking for industries to kind of niche into. Where do we become experts? And an opportunity a few years ago came along to have some strategic partnership work with the Eversole group, who had been around at that point for 23 years and did nothing but community bank marketing. Very niched, very good at what they did or do, and but entirely focused around traditional marketing services. Okay. And so their clients started asking for a website or social media management or digital ad campaigns and on and on and on. So we started partnering, and after about a year of that, it just made sense. It was a great fit in lots of ways for us to talk about merging, and we did as of January 1st of this year. And so we went from 5 to 11 on the team, and even in the craziness of 2020, have actually continued to grow.
Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. And I'm sure there were some hurdles when it comes from being the sole owner and this is my company to suddenly being in a partnership. So what was some of the hurdles that you faced going from a one-man ship or a one-man team, not team, you have a team, but a one-man person to a partner?
I had always held the reins. When you're an entrepreneur and when you're doing it on your own, you are HR, you are accounting, you are legal, you are business development, you are, it's all these different hats. And in the course of I was going to say an 8-hour day, but there weren't many of those. In the course of a 10, 11-hour average day, you wear all of those hats at different points during the day. And so to answer your question, the challenge for me was to begin to let go of that, the delegation. The realizing that by hiring the right kind of people, I needed to develop the trust to let them go do what they do best. And the more that I have been able to do that and then go focus on the things that should fall within my job description, the better that things have been. That's probably been my biggest challenge. They would all tell you I try to be a recovering micromanager. And it's tough. I'm not a sit idly by and watch things. More of a proactive, very action oriented person. So that's been a big challenge. And the other one that comes to mind for us too is that I came out of the retail world where everything was on large lines of credit. and all about debt, and we own the property, and we did all this kind of stuff. And Agora, and now Agora Eversole, has grown out of no debt.
That is awesome.
I did have a small investment partner for a while that was key and huge and the right thing to do. But other than that, we've done it with no debt, and came into this merger that way, and with a like-minded partner. So, those were challenges to overcome at times as well.
That's incredible. You've got to sleep better at night knowing that you are that kind of company, that you don't have a lot of debt that's over you. That's you got to sleep in a different way.
And yes, I've changed worries. How about that?
Always going to be worries, but that's not one of them right now. So
that's right.
So working with businesses in so many different industries, is there a favorite that stands out to you, or a favorite type, or even a particular success story that springs to mind? You've got a wide array of things that you've done. So is there something in there that has been your favorite?
The great thing about our primary areas of expertise now, which are working with community banks, and then we also work with a number of healthcare clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the deeper we've gotten into that, the better that we've gotten in serving those clients in each of those industries. So I guess what turns on in my mind when you ask what is the favorite is that once we started to dive deeper and become, I guess, more of a set of experts in those industries, it becomes more fun because the question marks begin to disappear about how to be successful for a client. Mm-hmm. And then really how to take that client to the next level in things like gaining market share in a new metro area for that client, or helping a healthcare client grow a new clinic area or bring in new patients, those types of things. And with banking, it's not a rapidly changing industry, but it is a highly competitive industry.
That it is.
Yeah.
That it is. So true. So going into the agency side of things, how does your company set out to reach new clients, and are clients mostly coming to you, or are you guys doing a lot of outreach?
Over the years, we have, I think, built so many relationships, fortunately, that we do have a fairly steady referral base. However, the Eversole Group, in all of its years of experience in banking, had become the endorsed marketing provider agency for a number of the state banking associations. Nice. So as we merged into that, and really all over the Southeast, we are the endorsed marketing provider for a number of the state banking associations. So for us, of course, normally and in the past, that has been going to conferences. My stage time has increased over recent years, and doing a lot of presentations and workshops and those types of things. Now, obviously, a lot of that's going digital. And
yeah, a lot more podcasts now.
You got it. A lot more podcasts, but webinars and those types of things as well. And we're looking at, even on the healthcare side, how to do more and more of that as well, with a constantly evolving climate that we're all in, as things have changed so much for us this year.
Awesome. So can you walk us through, this is a question that we get a lot, is what does the onboarding process look like for new clients? So what does the Agora Eversole's process for onboarding new clients look like for you guys?
Well, during the business development, and then we're pretty adamant about a discovery process.
Okay.
During business development with a new client, normally we have a decent bit of information, but just me plus one of our other folks are really the only ones that know and understand a little bit about that client when it's time to do onboarding. So the first thing that we do is introduce the team. And because our clients are mostly all over the Southeast, and we're working with banks all over the place, usually that's a Zoom call or a teleconference or whatever the case may be, so that they get to know our people. And that's actually a lot of fun for me because it gives me an opportunity to brag on our team members and to talk about how great our social media management team is, or our developer and digital services manager, and those and our designers, and introduce them to a new client so that they begin to develop a relationship with them, and so that they have a level of confidence that they know who they're talking to when they want to throw out their ideas about a new design, for a campaign or whatever the case may be. And then it's moving them right into our system, which includes monthly recurring check-in meetings. So I realize that's kind of walking right through the onboarding process and into that, but moving them into a routine, Tabitha, is what helps to get them into our system. And I really believe that's so much of our value to clients, is that a lot of times we really do know what they need, and they don't even know what that is. So they may think they're just hiring us to whatever, help with their local traditional advertising and their social media. But what we're actually doing is engaging in a relationship with them to do those things, plus much more from a strategic perspective, to help them grow their brand, market share, all those types of things. So transposing that information and kind of pulling back the curtain is, I think, the most important part of our onboarding process.
Awesome. So you talked about onboarding them into your system. So what type of softwares do you guys use in your company currently for things like web development and digital marketing and things like that?
Sure. Teamwork is our project management system. We vetted lots and lots of them, looked at Basecamp, and there are lots of other ones out there. And there are other communication tools that feed into that. But teamwork for us has been a key item. We mainly use that for internal purposes. We don't hook a lot of external clients into that, although that is one of the things that can be done. But for us, it's that system of the monthly check-in, which consists of reporting, and all kind of the looking back over what we've been doing, and then the proactive planning and looking at what's the month ahead, the quarter ahead, and how does that feed into the big picture strategy of what it is that they're trying to do. If the client has a new product or service that's going to be announced forthcoming, those types of things. Then we actually have weekly service team check-in meetings as well. And that's where we get to close the door without our clients in the room and talk about those strategies and really figure that out. And then how each of our team members then engage back with the client, in turn. So those types of processes for us, and we're covering creative or web updates or a new social ad strategy or whatever the case may be, really as a team together, then taking that back to the client and saying, our team has really planned this out as part of your strategy for the next month, quarter, half a year, and here's why we think this needs to be the case for you. So getting them on board with that system is very different than onboarding a new client and then waiting for them to say, hey, here's what I need. We operate on our toes we operate, as best possible and perform well for our clients when we're on our toes. And if we're on our heels being reactive, we're not as good for them, for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. So is there one piece of advice that you give out the most often, something that's rung true to you from the very beginning?
Oh, wow.
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
The premise under which I started doing marketing consulting and then, built it into what it was, and then the merger and all of that, was that if you're going to hire us, trust us. So while I have no business doing our corporate taxes, I hire a CPA to do that. and that individual is an expert, and I'm willing to pay them money to do that. So I try really hard not to tell them, how to do their job, or hiring an attorney, when they're doing a business setup or a corporate, whatever you're maybe hiring an attorney for. They went to law school. I'm hiring them because they have expertise in this area. I don't have any business telling them the law and how to do things. So I think that one piece of advice, Tabitha, would be, if you're hiring us as a marketing agency to grow your business, then let us do that with you and alongside you, and in a true partnership. And that partnership comes from you as the business owner, or the CEO of the bank, or a physician. You have the vision, and then bring us into that vision and let us help market your business to help you get where you're going to go, and trust us to do that process well. So I think that would be that one big piece of advice that I like to try to give, and I know that helps us to operate at our best.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. Good piece of advice. So do you have any other businesses or projects or organizations that you would like to tell us about?
Oh gosh, as if this one is enough. One of the things that matters the most to our entire team through and through is service. And so engaging in our clients, granted, we're behind the curtain a lot of times, but our clients, and helping them with their community involvement, and and especially through things like social and how tech and their marketing can weave into that. Mm-hmm. So and how they're making a difference in missions and programs and communities, and impacting lives. We get to kind of stand behind our clients and watch them succeed in that. So we're not always the forefront of it, Tabitha, but I think that secondhand participation in making a difference in a lot of lives, it is so much of what brings us joy. And then personally, my involvement in some different missions and ministries is a big part of who I am, for sure. I think a lot of that comes out of my years in nonprofit administration, and liking to try to give back in every way possible is something very important to me personally as well.
Somebody asked me once on a different podcast is, you interview all these entrepreneurs. What's the one common thread that all of them have? And it's that they care about people and they want to help people. Every single person that I've ever talked to, that's been the main core thing. They may have different aspects of different things, but the one core thing in their being was that they want to help people. So that's rings so true. So very true.
Absolutely. So, I think that's so much of why we're in this industry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Any industry, I think that you got to be out there to help people. If not, you're not going to make it. So one of the last questions that I always like asking, is there anything right now that you are reading or listening to that's helping you grow as a business owner or as an entrepreneur?
I really am a podcast fan, and I'm not saying that because we're on one, because when I'm running back and forth to the office early morning and in the evenings, and or weekend trips and those types of things. Fortunately, in addition to yours, there are a lot of great resources out there, even just in the marketing realm. Yep. So I do love listening to podcasts. I am rereading Traction by Gino Wickman. And one of the things that I love about that, and a lot of marketing and industry related books like that, is the establishment of systems. So yeah. I like to learn from others that have put systems into place that work, and then figure out how to apply them here, is a really big one. And then the last piece of it is I have just started listening to Covert Cows.
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, Steve Robinson.
Okay.
who was the chief marketing officer for Chick-fil-A. And
Okay.
it's on Audible. And so I've started listening to that. And man, you want to talk about, I guess, the ideal merge of marketing with purpose. And that's so much of what drives me. So I'll let you know how it turns out, but I'm enjoying listening to that one as well.
They used to put something on called the Chick-fil-A Leader Cast that I went to every year. It was a virtual conference type thing, and it was incredible, the people that they would bring on, and just their whole philosophy behind business is, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud to everyone else, I'm not a fan of the chicken.
Oh,
But
wow.
I know. My husband, my kids think I'm nuts, but I love their business philosophy. So I go there anytime I get a chance, even though I'm not a huge fan of the food. I know that's blasphemy. And then
Hey, that's all right. We all have our own taste, but yeah, it's hard to argue with their principles and
oh,
for sure.
yeah. Well, their customer service, everyone can learn something about their customer service for
Yeah.
sure. So where can people learn more about you and about the agency?
I definitely want to invite people to come to our website, to agoraeversole.com. That's a great way to read up on our team, kind of who they are, what they do. Look at our client portfolio a little bit, and learn a little bit about how we do things. Our services that are segmented into traditional marketing, social media, web, digital advertising, SEO work that we do, and kind of how we do each of those buckets of service. So yeah, definitely, engage with our social media and, learn more about us. We're certainly an open book. I don't envision other people in this industry as competitors. I think that's a very short-sighted way to look at other people in the industry. I talk to what I guess technically we could call competitors, and other folks in the industry on a regular basis. I've got a couple, as a matter of fact, that we have monthly check-in calls, and we share information and approaches, and one of them is even in community banking. It's just in a different part of the country. So I think that type of engagement and idea and success sharing is a great way to be. So yeah,
That only helps
check us
grow
out.
both of you guys, which is incredible. So
Yeah, great.
all right. Well, Chris, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I've enjoyed getting to chat with you, a fellow Southerner. So it's been nice.
There you go.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
You've been listening to the Digital Agency Insiders Podcast. For more tutorials on growing your digital marketing agency, make sure to visit digitalagencyinsiders.com.